Chapter 9, A Night to Remember. The pulsating beat of the club's bass reverberated through the air and synchronized with the rhythmic flashing of vibrant lights. Laser beams sliced through the smoky haze overhead, painting streaks of green, red, and purple across the dark ceiling. Glistening disco balls spun lazily, scattering reflections like shards of shattered stars across the room. The dance floor pulsed with bodies, some in glittering dresses, others in sharp streetwear, swaying, jumping, grinding in chaotic harmony. LED screens behind the DJ booth flashed psychedelic visuals, which synced perfectly with the beat. A long, glossy bar stretched along one side of the room, lined with chrome stools and bartenders in black tees mixing drinks with theatrical flair. Bottles glowed beneath undershelf lighting in every shade of electric blue and pink. In the corners, plush VIP booths with velvet ropes held groups sipping cocktails from crystal tumblers, their laughter drowned beneath the music. Every surface seemed to shimmer, mirrored panels, metallic accents, sweat-slicked arms raised in the air, all reflecting the hypnotic glow of the light show. It was a visual symphony of chaos and color, where glamour and grit danced side by side in the flicker of the strobes. Aubrey, feeling a twinge of self-consciousness, followed Celine into the bustling club. Celine, exuding confidence, glided ahead in her shimmering dress that clung to her like a second skin, and her towering heels gave her an imposing stature that made Aubrey, in her modest sneakers, feel distinctly out of place. Memphis, ever the individualist, appeared as though he had effortlessly rolled out of bed into the club scene, yet still managed to exude a cool vibe. Dressed in black cargo shorts and a worn t-shirt, his tousled hair and thick beard added to his rugged allure. His olive skin glowed under the neon lights, and the hazel of his eyes was more pronounced amid the club's dim glow. Aubrey observed how he seemed to naturally fit into the scene, his numerous tattoos peeked from under his sleeves and collar and added an air of intrigue. Before Aubrey could fully absorb the environment, Cameron, a tall, dark-skinned figure adorned with tattoos and a conspicuous gold chain, approached with a confident swagger. His greenish pants, a shade too vibrant for the dim setting, somehow complemented his bold personality. "Hey Memphis, this must be Aubrey," or "this might be Aubrey," he joked, his smirk playful as he scanned the sisters. Memphis, with a quick shake of his head and a knowing smile, introduced them. "Yeah, this is Aubrey Rose," he said, resting his hand on her shoulder, "and this is her sister, Celine." Cameron, grinning broadly, extended his hand. "Cameron Brown, nice to meet you," he said, his tone rich with a charismatic flair. Celine, not one to shy away from a challenge, responded with equal enthusiasm. "Cameron Brown, the pleasure is mine." As they were escorted to a VIP table, Aubrey's eyes were drawn across the room to a man she didn't recognize, tall, composed, and exuding a quiet, magnetic strength. He stood surrounded by three striking women, one regal and poised, the other two identical and unnervingly graceful. His presence was commanding, but it was his hair that caught her attention. Twisted into spiky braids, it was unexpected, edgy and bold in a way that felt out of place in such a polished crowd. Aubrey was taken aback for a moment, but she found herself liking the look. It suited him. Moments later, he approached their table, cutting effortlessly through the crowd. He extended his hand toward her with calm assurance. "Julian Rouge," he said, his voice low and resonant, his handshake firm. "It's a pleasure." The woman beside him, his wife, Aubrey assumed, stood poised and radiant, a vision of elegance amid the wild pulse of the club. Her cheekbones were high and defined, and her lips full with a natural pout, and her skin glowed with a flawless, golden warmth that seemed to capture the light. Her sleek, honey-blonde hair was swept into a tight low bun, with a few artfully loose strands softening her angular features. She wore a champagne satin dress that clung to her figure with effortless grace, the back dipping low to reveal smooth, sculpted shoulders. Every movement she made seemed intentional, quietly confident, untouched by the chaos around her. Beside her stood two women who looked like perfect reflections of one another. Tall and statuesque, with long, slender limbs and razor-sharp bone structure, they moved in near-silent synchronicity. Their dark, straight hair fell like silk past their shoulders, parted cleanly down the middle, and framed almond-shaped eyes that held a cool, unreadable intensity. Dressed in matching black leather pants and minimal cropped tops, they exuded both style and danger, like shadows with designer taste. Their presence wasn't loud, but it commanded attention and drew every glance in the room as if by gravity. Together, the three formed a striking tableau of beauty and control, glamour wrapped in edge, untouchable and unmistakably powerful, even beneath the club's flashing lights and pounding bass. Cameron introduced them with flair. "This is Memphis Green, our esteemed photographer, and his girlfriend, Aubrey Rose," he said and added, "and Celine Rose, Aubrey's sister. And, of course, Julien Rouge, who's already introduced himself, and his wife Hannah Rouge," Cameron added, giving Julien a playful nod. The twins, introduced as Cassandra and Carmela Black, greeted them in perfect unison and added to the surreal nature of the encounter. The atmosphere at the table was electric as conversations flowed and laughter echoed. Cameron raised his glass in a toast. "To new friends," he said, his voice rising above the music. The group echoed his sentiment, downing their shots with a mix of exhilaration and trepidation, and the sharp taste of tequila mingled with the tang of lime. Celine, energized by the evening's vibrancy, announced her intention to dance. "I'm hitting the dance floor," she said, her voice filled with excitement. Cameron, ever the enthusiast, joined her, and their laughter faded into the pulsating rhythm of the club. Without her sister by her side, Aubrey felt the sharp edge of unfamiliarity as she settled into the curved velvet booth beside Memphis. Across from her, sat Julien, calm and composed, flanked by his wife, Hannah, and the twins, all draped in effortless luxury. The energy around their table simmered more quietly than the rest of the club, the conversation more measured, and the smiles more rehearsed. "So, Aubrey," Hannah began, her eyes cool and calculating behind long lashes, "what do you do back in New Orleans?" Her voice was smooth, but Aubrey could feel the indifference beneath it, as if Hannah already knew she wouldn't be impressed. Aubrey paused and her fingers brushed the rim of her glass. "I'm an artist," she said. "Right now, I'm working on a series of static pieces, art that speaks through absence. I like to leave space for the viewer to create their own meaning. It's subtle, but intentional." There was a momentary silence, the kind that usually opened the door for polite confusion or awkward assumptions. Aubrey braced for it. Sure enough, Hannah tilted her head. "Oh, like, do you do dog portraits and stuff? Or those big canvases with sunsets?" Aubrey smiled tightly, used to the question. "Not quite. I try to say more with less, minimal detail, maximum meaning. My work's more about what's not there than what is." Julien tilted his head, interest flickering to life behind his otherwise unreadable expression. "That's rare," he said. "Art that gives people freedom instead of answers, it's a bold kind of storytelling." Aubrey met his gaze, surprised by the depth in his tone. She wasn't used to her work being taken seriously in rooms like this. But Hannah didn't linger on the sentiment. She crossed her legs with poised precision and redirected the spotlight. "Well, I've been completely swamped setting up the racing charity event Cameron and Julien are headlining next month," she said, her voice overflowing with casual pride. "It's turning into one of the events of the season. We've got sponsors lined up, a celebrity auction, media coverage, it's a lot. But worth it." She glanced at Aubrey as though expecting a reaction, then added with a glittering smile, "I'm also launching a swimwear line. I'm doing most of the modeling myself. People connect more when you're the face of your own brand, you know." Aubrey offered a polite smile, but the contrast between their worlds couldn't have been starker. Hannah's life felt like an endless performance of curated images and social currency. Aubrey's, by comparison, was raw and unfinished, real in ways that didn't sparkle under club lights. Still, Julien's eyes kept returning to her, not in an overt way, but enough to make her heart skip once or twice. Every now and then, she caught him listening to her more closely than anyone else at the table. Before the tension could thicken, Celine and Cameron burst back into the scene, both flushed and laughing, fresh from the dance floor. Celine, smelling like a perfume shop had exploded on her, flopped dramatically into the booth, and Cameron raised a hand for more shots like a conductor calling in the horns. "Let's get this night really going," he said and beamed, his energy crashing over them like a wave. In a flash, the mood shifted, louder, looser, and electric. Glasses clinked. Stories flowed. Someone started singing off-key. And Aubrey, caught between champagne toasts and stolen glances, found herself slipping deeper into a world that moved faster than she was used to. A world where her art felt out of place, but somehow, she didn't. As the night thickened and lights blurred, she wasn't sure what was more intoxicating, the liquor, the music, or the strange, magnetic pull of these people, especially Julian. Somewhere between the beat of the club and the beat of her heart, something had altered. And it wasn't going back.